Greetings! Welcome back to my kitchen and to another realistic look at what I eat in a week. I love making these videos to hopefully give you some recipe inspiration, and this week we made a lot of vegan comfort food.
It's so freaking good.
That's a lot of cake.
Plus a few from-scratch staples that we've been loving this summer that I'm really excited to share with you. There's a lot to cover in this video, so let's get started. I started filming for this video on Eric's birthday, and for his birthday dinner, he requested smash burgers. So I wanted to make some homemade vegan burger buns. And you'll see me make bread a couple times over the course of this week because it's my current obsession. I just find the process so satisfying and therapeutic. I make smaller batches so I have more opportunities to practice. These burger buns weren't sourdough, so this recipe actually came together very quickly, super easy. And the soy milk and vegan butter give these a super tender and fluffy texture that we love. While I let the buns rise before baking, I switched over to Eric's birthday cake, which I had prepped a little the night before. When I had asked him what kind of cake he wanted for his birthday, he was torn between a chocolate cake with vanilla frosting and a vanilla cake with chocolate frosting. So I ended up making a fun hybrid of the two. I made a half batch each of chocolate and vanilla cake, and both of the recipes, by the way, are from Nora Cooks. And I also made a half batch each of chocolate and vanilla frosting. I don't have many occasions to make cakes, so I'm really not good at decorating them at all, but I'm trying my best. I'm just starting out here with a crumb coat, and I'll come back later to frost it one more time. With the burger buns now risen and ready to go in the oven, I'm giving them a quick brush with a cornstarch mixture to help adhere the sesame seeds. And a quick side note, in the background of some of these shots, you'll see boxes piled up because we are in the process of moving once again, hopefully for the last time for at least the next few years. But we are moving back to Colorado in a month, and packing is well underway, so apologies for the clutter in the background. Now, feeding into some gender stereotypes here, 99% of the time we have burgers. Eric is the one who makes them. We buy the Impossible ground and divide it into 4 pieces and then smash them between sheets of parchment to get really thin patties. Those get some fresh black pepper and a little extra pinch of salt, and then we sear them and add cheese. Our favorite sliced cheese is either going to be the Field Roast Chow Original Slices or the Violife Mature Cheddar or their Provolone. I believe we're using Violife here. With a quick splash of water and a nice steam, it melts really beautifully and has a convincing flavor. We served up these burgers on the homemade buns, which were still warm from the oven. Added some Follow Your Heart mayo, some ketchup, sliced onion, and then some homemade dill pickles that Eric had made the week prior. We've been loving making our own pickles, so we'll show you another batch later in this video. We served the burgers with a side of fresh corn, which was incredible. We just boiled it and rushed it with a little bit of butter.
It's so freaking good. The bun is incredible. The smash patties, we gotta do that every time. It's honestly, it's kind of like a perfect burger. Happy birthday to me.
After dinner, I finished frosting the cake, and then we went to meet up with a few friends at a brewery for a birthday drink.
I think that's as good as it's gonna get.
It's beautiful.
Right. That's a lot of cake.
I'm gonna eat the whole thing right now. Should we bring some to Jasmine and Chris?
I think it will melt. Maybe tomorrow.
I was driving home, so I had a water kefir, or kefir, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, and Eric had 2 beers. After we got home, we finally got to dig into the cake, and I think our verdict was that we both liked the side with the chocolate frosting slightly better. But they were both tasty. The chocolate cake side actually reminded me a lot of the Hostess cupcakes. Then we started off the next morning by dropping off some cake to our friends, and then we ran by the store and picked up ingredients to make breakfast sandwiches. I've been drinking matcha lattes every morning lately instead of coffee, but I picked myself up a can of cold brew for Fun Drink Friday. And we were still in a birthday mindset, so we figured we'd make something a little more indulgent than usual for breakfast. We toasted up leftover hamburger buns with some vegan butter, and we made just egg patties and Impossible sausage and melted vegan cheese on the egg. I have to say, these came out pretty much like the perfect vegan breakfast sandwiches. The buttery toasted buns really took them over the top. I think if I ordered a breakfast sandwich at a restaurant and one of these came out, I would be pretty stoked.
That cheese is good.
Here's the spot.
Thank you to Ritual for sponsoring today's video. You may already be familiar with their daily multivitamin, which is a great way to help fill in any gaps in your nutrition. But another one of their products that's an absolute must-have for me is their Synbiotic Plus, which is a daily 3-in-1 prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplement. It contains the most clinically studied forms of probiotics, as well as prebiotics, which help to support the beneficial bacteria in your gut, and postbiotics, which support gut barrier function. You take one a day, and Synbiotic Plus uses a delayed release capsule that's designed to make it not just to the stomach, but all the way to the colon, which is the ideal place for probiotics to grow. Your subscription comes straight to your door monthly with free shipping, and the capsules require no refrigeration. Synbiotic Plus is vegan-friendly, free of all major allergens, and Ritual is always completely transparent about the ingredients, their sourcing, and their environmental impact. If you'd like to try out Ritual, you can get 30% off your first month by scanning my QR code on the screen, clicking on the link, or using my code. Thank you, Ritual, and now let's get back to the video. Now, earlier I mentioned Eric has been making homemade pickles lately. Whenever we visit his family in New York, we always buy this very specific brand of half-sour pickles from Brooklyn, and we can't find them where we live. So we finally tried making them ourselves, and we were shocked at how good they were. And the recipe is really simple. You just add a few spices, some garlic, fresh dill, with the cucumbers and a salt brine, and let it ferment for a few days. And then you chill them, and they taste amazing. They have a much lighter and fresher flavor, in my opinion, than pickles made with vinegar. They just retain more of the fresh cucumber flavor, which is why I love them so much.
They have a slight bit of the fermented fizz that we get with our favorite pickles from Brooklyn. A few more days, I think, and they'll be sour and really fizzy. They're tasty though. Wanna try?
Eric and I don't eat out very often because I'm always kind of testing recipes for the blog, but when we do get takeout, it's usually either Thai, pho, Chipotle, or very occasionally we will order some sushi. For dinner on this day, we got a large order of vegetable pho to split along with some tofu fresh rolls. We've always found pho to be quite affordable for big portions, so it's a go-to for us on those nights when we really don't want to cook and clean. Next up is a recipe that always makes me think of the summertime, and that is Tofu Katsu. I have a lot of fond childhood memories of going to Hawaiian barbecue joints like Ono or L&L and ordering a lunch plate with chicken katsu, and it would always come with rice and Hawaiian macaroni salad, which is so good. That was one of my favorite meals, and we didn't have a Hawaiian barbecue in my hometown, so the only time we could get it was when we drove way out of town or when we were visiting my grandparents in San Diego, which we would do every summer. So I guess that's why every summer I find myself craving katsu. When making it, I do the trick where I freeze and defrost my tofu ahead of time to give it a more meaty texture. Then the tofu is dredged, dipped in a batter, and then breaded with panko and fried until golden. To be honest, I don't really enjoy frying things. It's just a bit of a hassle, and I don't like my house to smell like oil. But I have tried making baked tofu katsu, and it just isn't quite the same. So when I'm really craving this dish, I just go all the way with it and fry it so I can actually satisfy the craving. I think that's one tip that has helped me to really improve my relationship with food. If there's a very specific food I'm craving, nowadays I don't try to make it super healthy the way I used to when I first went vegan. I just make the food or order the food exactly the way I want it so I can really enjoy the experience fully rather than feeling deprived or like I need an extra treat on top of that to really satisfy me. Here I am making the Hawaiian macaroni salad. The key for this, besides using a brand of mayo that you really like, is to add a little bit of milk. I used oat milk. And when you mix everything together, at first, it's going to seem very runny, but refrigerate it for a few hours, and as the pasta cools further, it will absorb that extra moisture, and the result is a macaroni salad that is extremely creamy with the pasta at the perfect level of tenderness. Something that sets Hawaiian pasta salad apart from other kinds is that it has a nice sweetness to it because there's a little sugar in the dressing, and the carrots also add some natural sweetness. I actually had forgotten to add sugar to the dressing this time, and when I went to taste it, I immediately noticed something was off, so it's not something I would skip if you want it to taste authentic. Alright, it's finally time to assemble my homemade Tofu Katsu lunch plate. Like I said, at a Hawaiian barbecue, it usually comes with rice and macaroni salad, so that's how I'm serving it today. We've been obsessed with the Japanese barbecue sauce from Bachan's. If you want to try to make Tofu Katsu yourself, I'll have the recipe linked on my blog. Try it out. I think you'll love it. As I mentioned earlier, I have been making bread a lot lately. I try to make smaller batches actually so that I can make it more often and have more opportunities to practice and improve my technique. So here's an attempt at sourdough baguettes. I did struggle a bit with the shaping of them, so I need a bit more practice there. I'm also trying different methods for getting steam in the oven to help with the crust. But overall, I was really satisfied with the crumb and the flavor of the bread, so I will keep refining this recipe. Now, if you have watched my channel for many years, you might know that I love nostalgia. And if you rewind to the videos I filmed last summer when we were staying in Atlanta temporarily, you'll see I was also making sourdough baguettes then. I was making tofu katsu, we were eating the half-sour pickles, and I was making this vegan potato and corn chowder on repeat when we lived there. Those brief 2 months we spent in Atlanta were such a turning point for myself and for Eric. I think it's where I really started to get back in touch with the vision I had for this channel. It's where I started to reconnect with my love of cooking, especially cooking things from scratch, just being experimental in the kitchen. Leading up to that point, I had been feeling really lost with the direction for this channel, and just so much of what I was making wasn't very inspired. But something just kind of clicked for me last summer, so that time is always going to hold a very special place in my heart. Recently, I was rewatching the videos I filmed there, and it inspired me to make the corn and potato chowder and the sourdough baguettes again. And honestly, that's one of the coolest things about food, in my opinion. Food is a lot like music in the sense that both can transport you back to a completely different time. A familiar flavor can help you to reconnect with a memory you're longing for, with an emotion that you want to process more, or with a person you're missing. And the more times you eat a certain food, the deeper the roots of that memory grow. So every time I make tofu katsu now, I'll access a little bit of my childhood memories with my family, a little bit of our stay in Atlanta, and a little bit from this present time, filming this video and packing for our next move. I know a lot of people consider soup to be a food for fall and winter, but I also think it's a great summertime food because you don't have to turn on the oven, you can chuck a bunch of ingredients in a pot and let it simmer while you do other things. And I make this chowder year-round, but during the summer when fresh corn is in season, it is just next level. I blend a portion of the soup with soaked raw cashews, and that is what gives it that thick, creamy, hearty chowder texture. It's one of my favorite techniques when I'm making soup. Now here is just another random sourdough baking experiment. We've been making lots of homemade hummus, so I wanted some homemade pita bread to dip in that. So here's my second attempt at perfecting my sourdough pita recipe, and wow. Like I said earlier, there are a few things more satisfying than watching your bread rise in the oven, especially pita. It puffs up, it's so cool. One of my favorite things about soup is that I always make enough to have leftovers for a day or two. So the next day, I topped some of the leftover sourdough baguette with olive oil, parsley, garlic powder, and shredded daya, and popped it under the broiler for a minute or two. I topped the leftover soup with a drizzle of graza olive oil. I love good extra virgin olive oil as a garnish, plus some fresh scallions and plenty of fresh cracked black pepper. As we pack up for our move, I'm trying to use up as many things in my pantry as possible, and we had a box of Japanese curry roux. And since I tested the tofu katsu recipe for the blog twice this week, we had plenty of leftover tofu to pair with that. I think curries, stews, and soups are one of the easiest ways to include a variety of fresh vegetables in your meals. Salads are good too, but interestingly, I haven't been craving many salads this summer. I'm not sure why. Maybe in the next video, I'll push myself to make some creative salad recipes. Then one last little thing we've been making and obsessed with lately is homemade salsa. Eric makes 1 or 2 batches pretty much every single week, and it's such a good use for ripe tomatoes and peppers. To add a nice smokiness, he gives the onions, peppers, tomatoes, and garlic a little char in our cast iron skillet. Then everything goes into a blender along with some fresh cilantro, lime juice, salt and pepper, and then some canned chipotle peppers for extra smokiness. One of the things we're most excited about as far as our move goes is that we're gonna finally have a backyard again, and we're so excited next spring to finally learn how to garden so we can grow our own fresh tomatoes, peppers, and herbs. So maybe this time next year we'll be making our salsa with homegrown produce. Then we've been buying these local corn tortillas. They have literally 3 ingredients. They taste so fresh, and we just toast them in the oven to make our own tortilla chips. So this is a simple snack we are obsessed with. Definitely give it a try if you love salsa. That wraps up what I eat in a week. Thank you so much if you made it to the end. I appreciate you, and I'd love for you to leave a comment. Let me know what your staple summer recipes have been so far. There will probably be one more video filmed in this kitchen in Washington, and then after that, we'll be seeing you back in Colorado. Thanks for hanging, and I will see you very, very soon.